Yeah, so and the good point on that, I'll say, with metaverse and any of these content platforms, they won't just develop this for AR, VR. By 2025, even if the market grows from where we're at now, 10 million units, we'll have about 40 million shipping in say 3-4 years. Most of it will still be through your through whether it's a PC, a tablet, a smartphone. But I'll think of a case for what we have now, the Pokemon Go. That's an augmented reality application. You could have it eventually through your glass, but some will be accessing exactly through the device hardware. But the nature of it is using these platforms. And to give a case, I mentioned NVIDIA, it would be for the collaboration. So we're sitting in different areas and we can look at a 3D model. We may not have to put the headset on. We can look at that 3D model on our desktop, our workstation, and be able to collaborate. But the idea of it is it's a much more immersive screen. So now you can view it in much more finer detail, zoom in on it, and have a much better experience. But that's what it'll take, higher bandwidth, better processing, so you can have a true 3D collaboration.
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you about, Randy, because it's going to take an incredible amount of processing power on the graphics side, all of the rendering that's required. You're going to have an immense amount of bandwidth to actually push the data. So how much of a spend is required to get it to where it needs to be, and how long is that going to take?
Yeah, I mean, the reality, and we did publish on it, it's a path over the next decade. Even when Meta laid out their video, some of these things will take until you could say 2030 for the full reality of some of what's talked about. And a case in point would be if you wanted to have a virtual hologram, our image, I show up in your studio. For me to transmit that, it's a huge increase in processing. No, but that gets back to, in time to semiconductor, the ongoing advance in processing power. That's something that will be taking place each year progressively through the decade. Same with network. 5G will be upgrading the local network from like Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7. And then we're already seeing the white papers come out for 6G. So that's why we put it as evolution to the next generation 3D. Some of these experiences that are more immersive are coming out now. So some of the gaming, these virtual concerts we saw.
Randy, we're almost out of time. But really, really quickly, in terms of all of this happening and all of this occurring, it's competing against other uses, other needs for all of these graphics cards and everything else. So do you think 2030 is viable?
Yeah, I think, that's where I take 2030 if we want to think about actually VR to, you could say, very high definition displays with enough bandwidth that you could really have that immersive image. So that's the pathway to that. But the reality, and what you mentioned, there's a lot of adoption in GPU graphics, will be to make these gaming platforms or collaboration platforms much better through the decade. Right. So we do see a good path for that over the next 5 years.